In the last 15 minutes, Venezuela's Maduro win another 6-year term Venezuela elections. Maduro wins amid controversy in the last half hour. Incumbent President Nicolas Maduro wins presidential election in Venezuela. Nicolas Maduro re-elected President of Venezuela Venezuela elections. Nicolas Maduro wins second term. Venezuela's Maduro wins presidential vote. Election board in the last hour. Nicolas Maduro wins Venezuelan presidential election. Venezuela's Maduro wins presidential vote. Election board opposition rejects Venezuela's election as invalid. Maduro challenger calls Venezuela election illegitimate. Nicolas Maduro declared winner of Venezuelan presidential election. Nicolas Maduro wins Venezuela presidential election. Maduro wins Venezuela election amid widespread disillusionment. Venezuelans boycott their own election. Venezuela's Falcon says won't recognize Sunday's vote in the last 2 hours. Venezuela boycott their own election. Red points sparked contention in Venezuelan vote. Venezuela vote turnout was 32% by 6 p.m. Election board source the latest. Venezuela puts positive spin on Sunday election. Maduro expected to win second term. What we are watching today, the revolution will not be televised in the last 4 hours. Despite crisis and outcry, Maduro favored to win Venezuela vote. Despite crisis and outcry, Maduro favored to win Venezuela vote. Banda Insights doesn't see U.S. oil sanctions against Venezuela. Video, Venezuelan expats in Miami protests the current elections. Venezuela keeps polling stations open late amid light turnout. Venezuela keeps voting stations open amid light turnout. Venezuela elections draw protests. Empty polling sites dominate presidential vote in Venezuela. Maduro, Venezuelan voters must consolidate peace, democracy. Maduro eyes re-election amid economic ruin in Venezuela. In the last 6 hours oil falls, but analysts expect a bounce. Maduro favored to win condemned Venezuela vote amid tepid turnout. Maduro favored to win condemned Venezuela vote. Maduro favored to win condemned Venezuela vote amid tepid turnout. France leftist leader defends Venezuela elections legitimacy. In the last 8 hours, Nicolas Maduro is the gas price boogeyman for 2018 U.S. sanctions against Venezuela, harming Caribbean countries. Maduro favorite to win condemned Venezuela vote amid tepid turnout. Poor Venezuelans crowd pro-Maduro stations in hope of vote prize. Thin turnout as crisis-weary Venezuela votes in Venezuela election. Maduro loyalists try to boost turnout. Yesterday, Maduro favorite to win condemned Venezuela vote amid tepid turnout. Swallowing the false promises of unexamined socialism, U.S. denounces Venezuela vote as illegitimate. Nicaragua, extortion, dialogue and a longing for peace. U.S. will not recognize Venezuela election result. State Department. U.S. will not recognize Venezuela election result. State Department. U.S. says won't recognize Venezuela election. Maduro set for win amid poor voter turnout in Venezuela. U.S. will not recognize Venezuela election result. State Department. The U.S. is definitely meddling in the Venezuelan election. Venezuela to elect a new president. Maduro urged to vote for Venezuela. Why most Venezuelans may not vote in this month's presidential election. Venezuelan state. International election observers vote underway in Venezuela election amid opposition boycott. Venezuela votes as oil-rich nation reels from economic crisis. Maduro set for victory amid tepid turnout in condemned Venezuela vote. Venezuela, Maduro set to win election despite economic crisis. Venezuelan opposition candidate votes in Lara. Venezuela's Maduro eyes second term despite economic crisis. Venezuela's Maduro favored to win second term amid severe crisis. Venezuela elections, over 2 million have voted so far. Tepid turnout as Maduro seeks re-election in condemned Venezuela vote. Venezuela reaffirms its democratic vocation. Venezuelan president calls for national reconciliation. Is the oil market about to endure a rough ride? Venezuela's Maduro likely to claim victory in a much-criticized election defying global pressure. Nicolas Maduro seeks re-election in Venezuela. Venezuela votes in presidential election. Venezuela accuses U.S. of sabotaging elections with sanctions. Venezuela, voting underway in presidential election.